The screech of tires tore through the morning silence. A loud thud followed, and then screams. The body of an elderly woman lay on the asphalt, her white lace soaked in dust and blood, her silver hair smeared with dirt, motionless. She had been flung like a rag doll after the speeding car hit her and zoomed off. The crowd that gathered? They only watched, eyes wide, hands on heads, mouths gasping. But no one moved. "She's dying!" someone shouted. "Shay, you want to carry her, and police will arrest you." Another responded. No one wanted to be the Good Samaritan. In Nigeria, helping sometimes meant trouble. People had heard of others who tried to help accident victims and ended up being locked, up-framed, blamed, and forgotten. So they watched. But one girl didn't. Amaka, barefoot, in a faded blue gown stained with mud, her long natural hair disheveled, rushed into the crowd. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with fire. She knelt beside the old woman, placed 2 fingers on her neck. "She's breathing, faintly. Make you no carry, Mo," a woman hissed. "If she die, now you dem go arrest." Amaka looked up. "Then let them arrest me." She lifted the frail woman in her arms. The woman's head dangled loosely, her limp body like paper. Amaka's knees shook under her weight, but she stood tall, eyes blazing with tears and anger. As she staggered toward the road, she shouted, "Somebody help! Please! We need a car!" But cars zoomed past. Drivers turned their heads. Some slowed down to gawk, then stepped on the accelerator again. No one stopped. Her legs wobbled, pain shooting through her thighs, but she kept walking. Her breath came in short gasps. She whispered, "Hold on, Mama. Please, hold on." And just before she collapsed, a nurse in scrubs walking home from the night shift saw her. "Hey, come this way." Amaka followed her voice, barely seeing anymore. The nurse waved at the security man at a nearby clinic gate. "Open it. It's an emergency." The gate flung open, and Amaka stumbled in. That was when her body gave out. She crashed to the floor with the old woman still in her arms. Flashback. A year before. The last time Amaka felt safe was the night her world ended. She had just turned 18. Her father, Honorable Patrick Eze, was running for governor in their state. He had made enemies, powerful enemies. But that night, the family sat around the dinner table, laughing as Mama served egusi soup and pounded yam. Then came the gunshots. Boom, boom, boom. They burst through the front door, masked men with AK-47s. "Down! Everybody down!" Her father tried to protect them. He was shot in the chest. Her mother screamed and ran to him. She was shot in the back. Amaka froze, hiding behind the couch. They didn't see her. They left her an orphan. Days later, her Uncle Jude showed up not with comfort, but with greed. Within a week, he sold their house and her father's car. He left her with nothing. "You're just a girl. Go figure your life out." And so she did, under the bridge. Present day. After the rescue. Amaka woke up on a clinic bench, her lips dry, her legs weak. She looked around in panic. "The woman. Where's the woman I brought in?" A nurse walked over. "She's alive. We're working on her. Are you her relative?" "No," Amaka whispered. "I don't even know her name." "But you carried her on your back all the way here?" Amaka nodded. "You saved her life." The nurse smiled and handed her a small handbag. It fell beside her. "We checked for ID. There's a phone inside. Maybe we can call someone?" Amaka nodded again. The nurse dialed. It rang. Then a deep, calm, male voice answered. "Hello? Please, sir. Is this David Maxwell?" "Yes. Who is this?" "Your mother. She's been in an accident. She's in a clinic at Ojota." There was a pause. "What? Which clinic? Who are you?" The nurse gave him the name and location. The line went dead. 10 minutes later, a black Range Rover with a gold plate screeched into the compound. 2 men jumped out tone in a sharp navy blue kaftan, the other a driver in a suit. The man in kaftan burst into the reception. "Where is she? Where's my mother?" "Calm down, sir. She's in emergency care. The girl who brought her is right over there. David turned. He saw Amaka, barefoot, mud on her legs, dress torn at the side, hair scattered, her eyes still red from sleepless nights. You helped her? Amaka stood. She was dying. No one helped. I couldn't leave her. David stared at her. This ragged girl? She carried his mother? Before he could speak, a doctor walked out. She's stable, but she has a fractured skull. We'll need to move her to a bigger hospital. David gave instructions immediately. His private ambulance arrived, and the woman was transferred to a top-tier facility in Lekki. But something shifted in David's heart. He didn't leave Amaka behind. He said just 3 words, "Come with us." As Amaka sat quietly in the hospital's VIP waiting room, sipping bottled water for the first time in months, she turned to David and asked, "Will she survive?" David's phone buzzed. It was the doctor. He stepped out to take the call. 2 minutes later, he returned. His eyes were wet. "She's awake," he said, voice shaking. "And she asked for you." Amaka froze. "Me?" David nodded slowly. She said, "Where is the girl who carried me?" Amaka stepped into the hospital room slowly. Her bare feet felt cold against the polished tiles, and her heartbeat echoed in her ears. The room smelled of antiseptic and fresh flowers. The beeping monitor beside the hospital bed hummed softly, and the old woman, now cleaned up and covered with a soft white blanket, turned her head weakly. Their eyes met. The woman's voice came out raspy but clear. You're the girl who carried me." Amaka nodded, her eyes wide. "Yes, Ma." The woman stared at her for a moment. Her eyes filled with tears. "What's your name, child?" "Amaka." "Amaka Eze." The old woman smiled faintly. Her hand trembled as she reached out. "Come closer, Amaka." Amaka stepped forward, unsure, but took the woman's hand. Her skin was soft and warm, but fragile. "You saved me," Mama Sandra whispered. "Thank you." That was the moment Amaka's tears broke free. No one had thanked her in a long time. She had been forgotten by the world. But this frail old woman, this stranger, looked at her like she mattered. Earlier that morning, before the accident, the night had been cruel. Amaka had not slept. Again. 3 boys had crept toward her space under the bridgeone with red eyes, one with dreadlocks, and one missing a front tooth. She'd heard their whispering and quickly jumped up, clutching her bag, which only held an old blanket and her mother's Bible. She ran. Through alleys, past closed shops. Her bare feet scraped against broken concrete. She only stopped running when the sky began to lighten and she reached the public park bench near the highway. She curled up, holding her knees tightly, praying the morning would come quickly. It did. But with it came chaos. Screams, a crash, and a choice. While others stood frozen, she acted. Back to present. Still in the hospital room, David entered quietly, his voice soft. "Mama, are you okay?" Mama Sandra turned to him. "This girl, this angel saved me." David nodded. "I know, Mama. That's why she's here. That's why I want to know more about her." He looked at Amaka with gentle eyes now. Not with pity, but with respect. "Amaka, where are your parents?" he asked. Her lips trembled. "They're gone. Gunmen. They killed them last year. I've been alone since." David frowned. "What about other family?" She paused. Her jaw clenched. "My uncle sold our house and left me with nothing. I've been living under the bridge." A deep silence fell on the room. Even the machines seemed quieter. Mama Sandra squeezed her hand. "That's how you became homeless?" Amaka nodded. "I'm sorry, my child," the old woman whispered. "But you're not forgotten. God sees you, and he sent you to me." Amaka looked down, blinking tears. "I always told myself that," she said softly. "That maybe, if I just stayed kind, even when it hurts, one day it would mean something." David stood beside his mother and placed a hand on her shoulder. "It means everything." Then he did something Amaka never expected. He sat down beside her. A billionaire. A man who could have dismissed her as another street girl. Instead, he said, "Amaka, What do you want to do with your life? Amaka hesitated. She had buried her dreams long ago, but something about the moment made her speak. I wanted to be a pharmacist. My mum was a nurse. She said I was good with people, and I liked to mix things, balms, teas, medicine. David smiled. That's a noble dream. She looked away. But dreams are expensive, and I don't have anything. Mama Sandra lifted her hand and placed it gently on David's. My son, help her. David didn't hesitate. I will. Amaka stared at him, unsure if she heard right. You will? He nodded. We'll start with a shower, new clothes, a proper meal, and a soft bed. Then, we'll talk about school. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Her eyes filled with disbelief. No one has ever offered me that before. You earned it, David said, not by asking, but by being who you are. The unexpected twist. That evening, Amaka sat at the dining table in David's mansion for the first time. She had taken a hot bath, and her thick hair had been brushed and tied back. She wore a simple but clean floral dress. The chef had made jollof rice, fried plantains, and grilled chicken. She ate slowly, still overwhelmed. Across from her sat David's wife, Lisa, graceful and warm-hearted. You're beautiful, Lisa said with a smile. I see why Mama took to you. Amaka blushed. Then, the sound of footsteps echoed down the stairs. Daddy, where's Grandma? A girl about Amaka's age appeared dark-skinned, slender, with curly hair and curious eyes. David waved her over. Sophia, come meet someone special. Sophia walked over and smiled. Hi, I'm Sophia. Amaka stood. Amaka. Their hands met in a warm handshake. David watched them. Two young women, same age, but one had everything. The other had almost nothing. Yet fate had brought them together. Later that night, Amaka stepped onto the balcony, looking at the stars for the first time in months, without fear of rain or street boys. She breathed in peace. Then she heard a phone ring downstairs, David's phone. He picked it up. His face turned dark. What? You found out who hit my mother? Pause. Jude, easy. Amaka's breath caught. She rushed inside. What did you say? David turned to her slowly. Amaka, the man who hit my mother and ran away. He paused. It's your uncle. Amaka stood frozen. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as David's words echoed in her ears. It's your uncle. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. Her fingers gripped the edge of the dining table, eyes wide, lips parted. The entire room fell into silence. Lisa looked between them, concerned. Sophia stood behind her father, stunned. No, Amaka whispered. That can't be true. David's jaw clenched. He lowered the phone slowly and nodded. The security footage was clear. The car that hit Mama and fled? It was registered under the name Jude Easy. Amaka staggered backward. Her uncle, the man who sold everything after her parents were murdered. The man who left her on the streets. And now, the man who nearly killed the woman who gave her a second chance. Where is he? She asked, her voice trembling. We don't know yet. My security team is tracking him. But Amaka, David stepped closer, you don't have to face this alone. But Amaka wasn't thinking of fear, she was thinking of rage. And the pain she had locked deep inside for months began to rise like a storm. Flashback. The day she lost everything. It was barely 2 days after her parents' burial. The scent of candle wax and sand-filled jollof still lingered in the compound. Amaka sat in her mother's room, holding the nurse's uniform that still smelled like her. Then Jude barged in. I've sold the house, he said flatly. Amaka looked up, confused. What? And the car, he added, patting his pocket. You what? I need to recover some money your father owed me, he lied. My parents just died. Where will I stay? He shrugged. There's a boys' quarter. Manage for now. You're not a baby. But that same night, she came back from the corner store to find the gate locked. Her bag of food flung over the fence. Jude had changed the locks and vanished. Just like that, she became homeless. Back to present. David paced his private study, phone to his ear. Track the plate. I want eyes on Jude's house, phone, bank, alerts, everything. Lisa stepped in. Are you sure it's safe involving a marker in this? She deserves to know the truth. She has lived in shadows long enough. In the hallway, a marker sat alone. Sophia joined her quietly and placed a warm palm on her shoulder. You okay? Sophia asked. Amaka shook her head. No, but I'll be fine. Just so you know, Sophia said gently, you're not going through this alone. I don't care if you're rich or poor. You saved my grandmother. Amaka looked at her. For the first time in a long while, she smiled weakly. 2 days later, David's team traced Jude to a bar in Surulere. He was drinking, laughing with some political thugs. But his face fell when 2 men in black suits walked up to him. Mr. Jude Easy, we need you to come with us. On whose authority? They showed a badge David's personal security license. He hesitated, but they didn't give him a chance. In seconds, they had him in the car. That evening, David brought a marker to his private guest house. Stay here, he told her gently. You don't have to see him. I want to. David sighed. Are you sure? I need to. Inside the small room, Jude sat handcuffed, a bandage on his forehead from a drunken fall the day before. The moment he saw a marker, he burst out laughing. You again? What now? Come to beg me to take you back? Amaka didn't flinch. No, Uncle Jude, she said coldly. I came to ask, why did you do it? Jude shrugged. Do what? You sold my father's house, left me to sleep under the bridge. And now, you almost killed an innocent old woman. Jude smirked. I didn't know it was her. I was drunk. So what? You left her on the road to die, she cried. You didn't even stop. Jude leaned back. She looked dead. Besides, I couldn't afford another scandal. I have enemies. You won't understand. You were always weak like your father. Amaka's eyes flashed. No, Uncle. I'm strong because of my father and my mother, and everything you tried to destroy only made me braver. David stepped in. Mr. Ease, you're being charged with a hit and run and endangerment. I've handed everything to the police. Jude's face drained. No, please. David, let's talk like men. David turned to Amaka. Do you want to press charges? Amaka stared at her uncle, this man, who had caused her so much pain. I forgive you, she said, surprising even herself. Jude's eyes widened. But... Amaka stepped closer, her voice firm. I want you to know something. You are no longer my family. You are just a man I once knew. Later that night, Amaka sat beside Mama Sandra's bed, gently rubbing her hand. Mama opened her eyes, smiled, and whispered, You're stronger than I ever imagined. Tears welled up in Amaka's eyes. I think I finally let go, she whispered back. Just then, David walked in, holding 2 envelopes. He handed one to Amaka and one to Sophia. What's this? They both asked. He grinned. Your university entrance exam registration forms. Amaka's heart stopped. She looked up slowly. You mean? Yes, David said. You're both going to university. Together. Tears streamed down Amaka's face. She stared at the university registration form in her hand. Her name was typed in bold letters. Amaka Eze, University of Nigeria, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences. Sophia squealed and hugged her. We're going to school together. I can't believe this is real. Amaka couldn't speak. Her lips trembled. She looked at David, then at Mama Sandra, who was watching from her hospital bed with a smile so soft it could melt a stone. I don't deserve this, Amaka whispered. Mama Sandra reached for her hand. You deserve more, my dear. You gave me life. Now, it's your turn to live yours. David stepped forward and placed his hand gently on Amaka's shoulder. There's no charity here, Amaka. You earned every bit of this. First day. New life. 1 month later, Amaka stood in front of the university gate in Enugu, wearing a neat white blouse and black skirt, her hair braided in a simple style. Her name tag hung proudly on her chest. Beside her was Sophia, beaming in the same outfit. Two girls from different worlds, now walking the same path. "I'm nervous," Amaka admitted as they walked through the gate. Sophia laughed. "Don't be. You've already faced worse than any exam or lecturer." They settled into their hostel, a private apartment David had paid for. The room was cozy and clean. 2 beds, a desk, and a tiny kitchen. Amaka sat on her bed and whispered, "God, thank you." The past tries to follow, but peace never comes without shadows. During their first semester, a girl named Dorothy, daughter of a local politician, started spreading rumors about Amaka. "She's just a street girl that got lucky," Adora said. "You think she belongs here? If not for Sophia, would she even be in this school?" Amaka heard the whispers. She saw the stares. In class, in the cafeteria, even in the pharmacy lab. But she didn't respond. Instead, she studied harder. One night, Sophia came into the room angry. "You heard what Adaora said again? She even told the lecturer you copied my assignment." Amaka calmly packed her books. "Let her talk. I'm not here to prove anything to her. I just want to make Mama proud." Sophia sat down slowly. "You're stronger than me, you know?" Amaka smiled. "I learned from pain. Academic battle." Their first semester exams came. Amaka read for nights, sleeping only a few hours. Sophia pushed her to quizzing her, correcting mistakes, encouraging her. Exam week passed like a storm. When the results came out, a crowd gathered around the result board. Students gasped. "Who's Amaka Easy?" one of them asked. She topped the class. Adaora's mouth dropped. Her name was nowhere near the top. Sophia ran to Amaka and grabbed her by the hand. "You did it! You beat them all!" Tears fell down Amaka's cheeks. Not because she was proud, but because for the first time in her life, she finally felt seen. A call from home. Back in Lagos, Mama Sandra had recovered fully and returned home. She spent most days in the garden or reading books in the living room. One sunny afternoon, she called Amaka. "My daughter, how is school?" "Fine, Mama," Amaka said. "I passed my exams. I came first." Mama Sandra cried on the phone. "God kept you for a reason. You're the daughter I never had." Amaka's heart swelled. She wasn't just being supported. She was now part of a family. The proposal. 2 years passed quickly. Amaka and Sophia grew stronger, wiser, and more inseparable. Then came their final year. One Saturday afternoon, they were walking back to the hostel when a man in a white shirt approached them. He knelt in front of Sophia and pulled out a ring. Sophia gasped. "Daniel?" He nodded, smiling nervously. "I know we're still students, but I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?" Sophia's hands flew to her mouth. She looked at Amaka, then back at Daniel. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes." Cheers filled the air. Amaka clapped, tears of joy in her eyes. But as the crowd celebrated, Daniel stood up and turned to her. "Amaka." She blinked. "Yes?" He stepped aside. Behind him, a tall young man walked out from the crowd, handsome, well-dressed, confident. He walked up to Amaka, pulled a tiny box from his pocket, and dropped to one knee. Amaka gasped. "Chidi, what?" "I've waited 2 years for this," Chidi said softly. "From the first day you helped me in class, I knew you were special. You're kind, brave, and beautiful. Please, marry me." Amaka's hands flew to her mouth. The crowd went silent. Even Sophia froze. Amaka looked at Chidi, then at Sophia, then back at Chidi. For a moment, all she could hear was her own heartbeat. Then, yes. 2 months later, Amaka and Sophia graduated together, side by side. Invitations were already printed. Double wedding ceremony, Sophia Maxwell, Daniel, Amaka Ize, Chidi. But just 2 nights before the wedding, Mama Sandra started coughing uncontrollably. David rushed her to the hospital. Doctors surrounded her bed. Amaka and Sophia arrived, still in their rehearsal gowns, only to find David standing outside the emergency room, his face pale. The doctor came out, eyes grim. She wants to speak to both of you now. The white hospital lights flickered above them as Amaka and Sophia rushed into the room. Mama Sandra lay on the bed, her body wrapped in white linen, a nasal cannula helping her breathe. Her skin looked pale, but her eyes were still as warm and clear as ever. "Come close," she whispered. Tears filled Sophia's eyes as she grabbed her grandmother's hand. Amaka stood at the other side, holding back sobs. "Mama, don't talk, please," Sophia said, wiping her tears. "You'll be fine." The doctor said. Mama gently touched her cheek. "My time is near, my darling, and that's okay." She turned her eyes to Amaka, smiling softly. "You are the answer to a prayer I made many years ago, child." Amaka's voice cracked. "No, Mama, you saved me." "No, Amaka," Mama said firmly. "You saved me. You reminded me that love is not blood. It's sacrifice. It's kindness. It's showing up even when you're afraid." She looked at both girls now. Her voice was growing weaker. "I've watched you both become women. Kind, brilliant, strong women. And I've seen how you carried each other through pain and joy." A tear rolled down her cheek. "I've lived a full life, but the best part of it was meeting you." The heart monitor beeped slowly. "Mama," Amaka whispered, squeezing her hand. Mama smiled again, her final words just above a breath. "Live with love, and never stop giving." Then her hand went still. The heart monitor gave one long, piercing tone. The funeral. The church was filled to the brim. Politicians, philanthropists, doctors, nurses, neighbors. Everyone came to say goodbye to Mama Sandra Maxwell, the woman whose life touched thousands but was ultimately saved by one homeless girl with a heart of gold. Amaka and Sophia wore matching black dresses, their heads bowed, eyes swollen with tears, but in those tears was gratitude, because they had known her, loved her, been loved by her. David stood beside them as the casket was lowered. His hands trembled, but his heart was full. "She would have been proud," he whispered. "She was proud," Amaka replied. The wedding. 1 month later, Lagos stood still for the most beautiful double wedding the city had seen. White roses lined the aisles. Gold and pink fabrics sparkled in the sunlight. David held Amaka's hand as he walked her down the aisle. She wore a simple but elegant lace gown, her natural hair styled into a regal crown. Tears lined David's eyes as he whispered, "You were never a stranger, Amaka. You were always my daughter." Sophia, glowing in her own gown, walked behind, with her mother Lisa beside her. The crowd cheered as the vows were said. Amaka and Sophia Wanse, from 2 different worlds, were now 2 sisters bound by fate, love, and a shared legacy of kindness. A final gift. After the wedding, David called Amaka and Sophia into his study. "I kept something Mama wrote before she passed," he said, handing Amaka a sealed envelope. With trembling hands, Amaka opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. "My dearest Amaka, if you're reading this, it means I've gone to rest. But I want you to know something. I came from a wealthy family, but I've never met a richer soul than yours. You are the daughter I prayed for, and I know that God sent you to me on purpose. Your kindness reminded me what matters most in life. David has instructions to transfer part of my estate to you, not because of pity, but because I know you will use it well. You have a good heart. Use it to help others, just as you helped me. Love always, Mama Sandra." Amaka dropped the letter into her lap and sobbed. Sophia hugged her tightly, and David said just 3 words, "It's yours now." 1 year later, in the heart of Lagos, stood a brand new building, the Mama Sandra Foundation for Street Girls and Orphans. It was built by Amaka with help from Sophia and David. The mission? To rescue girls like her, to give them a bed, a school, a future. Inside the courtyard, dozens of young girls played, read, and laughed. Amaka stood at the balcony, now a certified pharmacist, married, and running a growing foundation. Sophia joined her, carrying a clipboard. "How many girls registered this week?" Amaka asked. 38, Sophia said, "and counting." They looked at the sky. golden with the setting sun. Mama would have been proud, Sophia whispered. Amaka nodded, tears in her eyes. She is. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.